So, last time I had you on, this was over like a year ago in the festive period. We talked everything Otter from MW. We talked
Yep.
about Piney that was upcoming at that point. But now we are sitting here once again to talk about Hogwarts Legacy. You're a busy boy
Ah,
since the last
yep.
time.
I've been
Um,
busy.
a,
Yeah, yeah.
a small little game called Hogwarts
Small
Legacy.
little game. Yeah, that's trickled out across the globe.
Yeah, just over a good couple million sold. Not too many, you know.
No, not too shabby.
Um, Talk to me about being casted as not one, not two, not three, but multiple characters in such an amazing game as Hogwarts Legacy. How did you end up getting that role or roles?
Yeah, it's very interesting how games always work because it's not uncommon to do several voices in a game. But with Hogwarts Legacy, it is so rich with unique characters. Probably easily, and I'm guessing here, well over 120 or so unique named characters. Um, so I was approached and asked to just audition for a couple of characters. Again, for video games, it's very common. And as the world expanded, because I started recording on this 2018, if you can believe that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
my first, which actually was Nearly Headless Nick. Right, hello, right. So I started recording Nearly Headless Nick's quest back then, and then it was a case of as the characters rolled out in the creative lab at Avalanche Studios, incredible talented people there. They were like, "Oh, could you audition for this character? And could you audition for that character?" And it was the same with a lot of the cast in this game. So gradually, as the world expanded over its development stage, so did the voices. And so then Peeves came along and Rookwood and Octavius, Ferdinand Octavius Pratt, and Professor Binns. So for somebody like me that hopefully I have a good reputation out there for a repertoire of voices. I could really lean into that and start offering up. Well, I can do this voice, and I see some artwork for this character. What about this voice? So that's how it's just sort of very organically expanded into the Hogwarts Legacy universe.
Do you know? Because like we were saying before, you do voice a good little handful of actual
Yeah.
characters. Do you know the exact number of characters you voice? Because there's like a good amount of like A tier characters, but kind of also on the same side, there's a lot of like B tier characters, kind of like as you
Yeah,
explore.
I think it's something like 24 or 25 characters in
Easy.
this.
You can do that in your sleep. Easy
Is
peasy.
that much? Yeah, yeah. It's and I suppose some of them are peripheral characters, NPCs, non-player characters. But for those core key ones, it was important to bring a totally different attitude to each character. So yeah, it's always challenging to come up with a lot of voices, but I think Hogwarts Legacy made it easier because they were such fleshed out characters too, and very unique characters, very different. I mean, Peeves compared to Rookwood is like such a difference. So that made it easier for me.
Fair. I mean, don't talk to me about Peeves. Peeves, yeah,
Naughty, naughty.
haunting my dreams with the week straight I played Hogwarts Legacy. Every single time because the level of detail in Hogwarts itself, just
Oh,
as
it's
its own castle,
beautiful.
absolutely mesmerizing. And
Yeah,
you're so encapsulated in this kind of castle and all this little like Easter eggs and just the
yeah,
vibe, and then this loud, little clown type character
Yeah.
really brings it together. It's a really good vibe. Um,
Well, he's a beloved character from the books,
yeah.
of course, and for whatever reason, didn't make it to the films. So this is, I think, the level and of attention and care to the fans, not only to make this a great game, but to appeal to the Harry Potter
Mm,
fans.
hmm.
And so that's just one small example of like, let's have a presence with Peeves at
Yeah.
Hogwarts. So I mean, I just know for a fact, you know, not only incredibly talented people working on this across the board, across the creative board, across the writing, everything, but also they have real Harry Potter almanacs experts at Avalanche. And they had resources outside of Avalanche to know what was in canon, what is law,
Mm.
so that they can abide by that. To really just bring not only an immersive experience for Harry Potter fans, but a great game. I mean, I'm hearing right across the board from people that they can't all be Harry Potter fans, and I think a lot of it was just good word of mouth and just a great experience across the board.
You
I
can.
don't know about you, but I'm looking for some rental space in Hogsmeade. I think I'll move my studio to Hogsmeade.
It's all the paths lead to Hogsmeade.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
No, the like we were saying, the level of articulation, especially in Hogwarts, where there's certain things that haven't even been shown in the movies or
yeah.
anything like
Oh
that,
my
but
gosh.
in the books were described and explained, and then you can see that one to one these new rooms and that aren't new,
Oh,
but for the first time you're visually able to see. And I like Harry Potter. I consider myself a Harry Potter fan of the franchise. I'm pretty interested in the lore,
yeah,
but Hogwarts Legacy really kind of tapped into that a lot more, and it made me aware of how actually invested I was in that, and seeing
yeah,
that level of articulation in a game. I love open world. I love that
yeah,
kind of style of game, and to see that, I know a
yeah.
lot of Harry Potter fans have been waiting a long, long time for that type
Whew,
of game, and to
my
see it
gosh.
do really good is amazing. Did that level of hype exceed any expectations that you had going into this? Because you said you've been working on this
Yeah,
at least since 2018.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Coming on so early, with this project. I mean, with everything you do, you always hope for the best.
mm,
You always hope, and this was a great franchise and a great idea. So you go in there with best intentions and your best work, and being very optimistic. And I always thought, well, this will do well. I mean, it's the Harry Potter universe,
of
the
course, yeah.
wizarding world, and I thought right from the get-go when they said we're going to set this in 1890s, I thought, wow, that's so smart. That gives you a little bit more flexibility. Obviously, there's still, because I mean, the Sorting Hat's 1,000 years old, so Hogwarts itself. So it allowed them to obviously have to abide by canon, and have certain things absolutely right, but it also allowed them to have some new characters that we've never met before because it's 1890. It's, I think even Dumbledore's only maybe a 9 or 10-year-old at that stage. So it was right before that. So it really gave them a fresh slate with a lot of characters. So, but I don't think any of us could have expected it to be as popular and as successful as it is. And I think until the game comes out, no individual really knew kind of how everything was going to come together.
Mm.
Because you've got a team working on this, you've got a writing team, story team, you've got a lighting team, you've got a Hogsmeade team, you've got I mean, it's just so for everyone to see it all come together and then see how brilliantly the actual gameplay is and how challenging it is, you really start to think, wow, oh my gosh. I mean, my jaw was dropped when I started watching the gameplay. Just a few, actually, on the day, on Feb 10th and onwards. Just I'm still watching it in awe of how beautiful. I mean, and the music. The music, the score on this is. I actually got to meet the composer and hug him because it's everything. That the music. I mean, it's a unique score for this too, but still paying homage to the original score. It's still embedded in there, but it's got a little fresh Hogwarts Legacy spin to it. It's just stunning. I don't know if you've seen on YouTube, they've got the score, and then they've just got this almost like a roaming drone going around Hogsmeade and all around the environments, and all the blades of grass moving and the trees swaying and the little brooks and the rivers, and oh my goodness, it's like that in itself is just a beautiful immersion into that world.
It's actually really amazing to see from your perspective, not only as a voice actor, but appreciating and understanding the work that goes in with the other
Oh
teams and seeing
yeah.
that level of detail in the final product. Have you actually got your hands on the game? Have you played it? Are
Yes.
you?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
H-
Yeah.
how
Absolutely.
was your first gameplay sitting down and playing it for yourself?
I mean, it was kind of chills, really. Because one thing I felt straight away was normally you have the cutscenes, which is the story part, and
Mm.
and obviously, there's a lot more work and time and budget goes into those scenes, and then you've got the gameplay. But I felt playing this right off the bat, it was like it was almost seamless between the cutscenes and the gameplay. It was like, oh, right, this is us now. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Whereas normally it's all, it's some of the past work, it's like, oh, here's the cutscene and it's all nice and shiny and lovely. And then you go into the gameplay, which is still good, but this it was almost like seamless going into the gameplay. And of course, I'm not the only one. You just get distracted so quickly.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of open world, is that you're like, oh, I want to go over here. Well, you can go over there,
Hmm.
you know. So it's taking a lot longer to get through it because everything's so shiny and wonderful, and you want to go and look at and see everything,
It is pretty funny because obviously you can have different saves, different game on the same kind of profile. So I had my game, and my fiance has been playing her run, and it's
Right.
seeing the level of like how different each run is. You can play
Yeah.
it in so many different ways, and
Yeah.
you have so much freedom to do it in any kind of way you want. It is a different game completely. Watching my
Yeah.
runs and then watching her runs, which is
Yeah.
that level of replayability is perfect. The one being one of the first things you can choose your house,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
right. Yeah.
you voice the Sorting Hat, uh,
Ah, yeah.
one of the most important
Interesting.
characters. A fun
Yes.
little thing here. I know my house. I haven't told you my house that I chose in the game. I haven't told you what I kind of uh, uh, think I would be in the Harry Potter world. You, as the Sorting Hat, could you guess
Mm.
what house I belong to?
Yes. Interesting, this one. Creative, yes. A sensitive soul. Hmm. Would be good in Hufflepuff.
Bang on the money. Bang on the money.
Really?
On my cat's life,
There you go.
Hufflepuff. Oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect, Jason. That's
I'm
perfect.
getting quite good at this.
Have you been asked that question before to sort somebody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a few on TikTok.
Right.
because that's my main kind of social media hang.
Right.
And a few people have asked me to do some personal sorting.
Mm.
So and just in the comments, I've been just blindly guessing in the comment section what house. So there's an awful lot of Slytherin out there.
Yeah, yeah, I can tell. Especially on TikTok.
Yeah, a lot of Slytherin
Mm-hmm.
out there, but I think that's just that's just the wizard in us. I mean, I think that's what's so lovely about this game is that each house really does represent your personality,
Mm.
and that's why I think now we can explore those common rooms in so much more detail
Yeah, yeah.
than this sort of fixed shot in movies. Now it's like this expansive world, and wherever you turn, there's this new Hogwarts to explore. So yeah, there you go, Hufflepuff.
I am absolutely shocked that I'm still giggling to myself that you got that bang on the money. I was expecting you to like say Gryffindor, but then go back to it and be like, "But I am a Hufflepuff," and then we can kind of compare as to why you think that I was Gryffindor or Slytherin. God help me.
Right,
But
right.
no, you just nailed it. Like that was fair. All right,
There you
fair
go.
enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're a wizard, Harry.
They chose the right person for the job, huh? Um, the Sorting Hat was in the movies, and they have
Yes.
that distinct voice, which you've perfectly encapsulated. With the other characters that you voiced, I'd say more mainstream characters in the actual narrative, that didn't have a voice prior.
Yeah.
How 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 much were you able to mold yourself, with picking this style of the actual voice, or how much
Mm.
was actually directed by the other folks?
Well, that was what was so inviting about this project, is that it was so rich in characters, and that they were very fleshed out when they presented them to me to voice. So somebody like Professor Binns, of course, again in canon, but we'd never heard his voice before. So the fact that he was known, I mean, bless him, Professor Binns, at some point in his life, I'm not sure, we don't know exactly when, but he went and sat by the fireplace after school hours and died, and didn't know really that he's died, and just got up and floated off to class and started teaching again. But the fact that uh, we knew kind of he was an older gentleman, and that he would put his students to sleep in his classes, so that helped. And I sort of imagined him a little bit more sort of portly, and I thought, oh, he's a bit like, sort of, he reminds me a little bit, not quite so portly, but a little bit of Winston Churchill. So Winston Churchill. So blah blah blah. So I sort of adopted this sort of sound in my head. That blah blah blah. Right, right. So yeah, we all remember the Goblin Rebellion of 1752. And they gave me the license in that character, because normally with video games, you don't want to delay the gameplay and the flow of the game. So normally your delivery is a little bit quicker. But with him, the whole point of it is to put the students to sleep. So we had so much fun recording him, because I would have these long monologues, all about the milling industry and the Goblin rebellions, and they just said, look, just go at the pace you want to go. And and of course we had some wonderful directors, Natalie Gray, who's one of the senior writers on Hogwarts Legacy. She was a fantastic director, and she would, and a brilliant comedic writer as well, and a comedian herself. And so she would come in and say, look, when you do that, really draw that 1752. And it just, it just added to the character, it added to the humor, and put a lot of students to sleep.
Is there a character in the Hogwarts lore, so many, that wasn't in Hogwarts Legacy that you would absolutely kill to voice at some point?
Gosh, I don't think so. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate to have been a part of this project and to have such a playground of characters. I can't say there's anyone. I mean, it's very rare that you get to play a good guy and a villain
Mm.
in a project. You know, so I don't. You know, I think with Rookwood that was my opportunity to to bring the villain out in me, and a little bit like Lucius Malfoy, he's not the that kind of villain. He is just a very calm, scary villain.
That is
But
true. Like I was about to ask that as well. The duality of being able to have an opportunity to voice both a villain
yeah,
and friendly characters. You don't
yeah.
get to do that very often. How did it feel going into being able to voice both villain and friendly characters? Was it challenging in itself to go back and forth, or was that more freedom for you to really explore your voice acting as a whole?
No, I mean it's almost like a dream job for a voice actor to be able to go into a project like this. Because typically, like Modern Warfare, I played Otter, and that was great. Go in and you've got a character to voice, and but because there's so many characters in this, to be able to go in and in a typical session, you do maybe 3, 4 characters, and of course, because of this game progressing over the years, there'd just be more and more scenes and quests for each of the characters.
Hmm.
So, it's just the variety in itself for a voice actor to go from those really different characters. And as I said, that's where the physicality is very important to get you out of Rookwood and get you into Professor Binns, or to get you out of Professor Binns and into Ferdinand Octavius Pratt. um Now that character, I don't know if you remember, probably showing my age here, but there was a fantastic comedy show on called Are You Being Served? Do you remember that? You probably don't. Oh, it was brilliant. It was all about a uh a department store, basically, in England somewhere. And there was it Brian Humphreys? I think the actor Humphreys, something. Anyway, his character was I'm free. Um, and he worked in the men's department. And I remember that character. And so a lot of Octavius Pratt was pulled from that character. So I'd literally use that catchphrase, I'm free. What are you doing? you know, um, I've been kidnapped. So it was all very, over the top. But having those physicalities and those little catchphrases to lock into in a session, was great. So, I can't imagine having more fun, really, voicing characters than on that. So, yeah.
To finish it off, though, what was the, I guess, biggest thing that you've learned during your time doing so many voices, working on Hogwarts Legacy, that could possibly help you in the future with your future projects?
I think what was really highlighted was, even with those characters where you feel you're going over the top,
Mm.
when it's actually all said and done, and it's in the game or it's in the animation or it's in the project, it really doesn't feel like it's over the top. A lot of my work has been very grounded characters, so to do something so over the top with some of those characters, but then when you see them on the screen, you think, oh wow, that really kind of fits. And it's it's also given me confidence. I've done a lot of different voices over the years, but there've been one or two voices in a project, so I think it's just given me confidence to think, wow, okay, so you can do quite a few different voices in the same project from scene to scene. Um, it's a bit like D. Bradley Baker
Mm.
in Bad Batch. He does the entire cast. He does the five. Is it 4 or 5? 5 clone troopers in Bad Batch, and he's extraordinary. And each character is distinct. Each voice is distinct. So where you can apply that in the future. So who knows?